Hello friends, I am Michael Kingswood. I write fiction for fun and profit, and this is Story Time, where on Tuesdays at least, we share chapters from a novel. Most of the time, we share other stories that I wrote, whether it's a novel or a short story. On Saturdays, it's normally short stories. Tuesday, we're doing a novel. This novel is the first in my heroic fantasy series. The book is called Glimmer, Vale. The series is called Glimmer Vale Chronicles. I know it's amazing how you could get that series from that book name, but I'm gonna say I'm creative. But anyway, we're on to chapter 19 here, and this one is called Base Camp. I wrote it. I'm not reading it. We have a great voice actor who read it for me, and let's get to it. You will enjoy it. Have fun.
Chapter 19. Base Camp. It was difficult to determine how long Raedric and Salam followed the path through the gloom. Without the moon overhead, Raedric had only his internal clock to figure the passage of time, and he knew well how imprecise that could be. Also, very soon after setting out, the cliffs again vanished from sight. Without a reference point, it soon became impossible to judge distance either. It was almost as if time had stopped and distance had lost its meaning. Even though he knew it to be an illusion, Raedric still found that notion extremely uncomfortable to consider. So he was relieved when, out of the gloom ahead, shapes appeared. 2 columns flanking an open doorway were set into a rock wall. At first, Raedric thought the wall was just another part of the cliffs, but it was too smooth and not nearly as tall. The gloomy mist swirled the same distance above this wall as it had the cliffs, however. Very strange. Biting back a yawn, it was well past midnight. Raedric drew his saber and ran toward the column to the right of the doorway. The whole setup made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. It wasn't just the oddness of the place. Where were the sentries? He half expected arrows to begin raining down from atop the wall, but none came. He reached the column and pressed flat against it. On the other side of the doorway, Salam had done the same. It was good that he hadn't needed to be ordered to do so. Raedric was becoming more and more impressed with him as time went on. And with his sword. This was the first time Raedric had seen it unsheathed, and he found himself doing a double take. The blade was standard length, but curved almost as much as Raedric's saber. Its edge was sharpened on the convex side of the curve, and on the last half-foot of the concave side just below the point. Nothing unusual there except that it was obviously high-quality workmanship. It was the flat of the blade that drew Raedric's attention. Stylized symbols and designs were etched into the metal down the entire length of the blade. Game animals, fantastic creatures, stars, the moon in its various phases, and all manner of strange letters and symbols that Raedric did not recognize. Done poorly, such a collection of inscriptions would have been cluttered, awkward. Not so in this case. Every symbol or picture flowed seamlessly into the next so that the whole became a beautiful work of art that captured the eye and would not let go. Salam noticed Raedric's study and moved the blade so he could more readily examine it. "A family heirloom," he said in a whisper that just reached Raedric's ears. "It has been passed down from father to son for many generations."
"I can see why."
Salam's teeth flashed in the gloom as he grinned. Back to business. Raedric slid around the column until he could just peek through the doorway. Again, Salam followed his lead without needing to be told. There was not much to see at first glance. The path turned to the left beyond the doorway and sloped upward along the outside of another wall. Raedric presumed it reached another level area above somewhere, but that was obscured by the gloom. For a moment, he wondered if it was more cheerful here in the daylight. Given the lack of moonlight, he would wager no. Talk about a depressing place to lair if that were the case.
"I imagine we'll come up on some sign of them before much longer,"
Salam offered.
"Sentries, horse pickets, something."
"You'd think. Keep alert." Raedric noted Salam's expression from the corner of his eye as he slipped through the doorway, the annoyed look of a man who has just been told the obvious. The trail started out ascending at a shallow angle, but before long the grade increased, and the climb became more difficult. Raedric imagined it would be even more difficult on horseback. Maybe they made a practice of walking their horses from this point. The slope made for a good way to slow an assault, regardless. After an indeterminable climb, shapes began to emerge from the gloom ahead and above. Squared off like blocks, it was hard to make out what they were for a long moment. Then he and Salam ascended a few more feet, and the structures came clearly into view. It was a gatehouse, complete with crenellated walls, a portcullis, and a thick wooden gate. And a pair of guards with torches on the battlements on either side of the gate.
"Cover!"
Raedric pressed against the wall and slowly edged his way backward down the trail until the torches and battlements were only just visible.
That will be difficult to breach, Salam observed, at least from this approach.
Raedric nodded.
But are there any other approaches? I wouldn't want to try to find a different way through this place to find it, would you? Not in this life.
Raedric hesitated. This was, without doubt, Eisenhalf's lair. But they only knew marginally more than they had before coming. He was loath to leave without getting more information. Perhaps they could scale the wall. But no, it was sheer and smooth, with hardly a seam between the stones it was built from. It was useless. They had learned all they could this night.
It's time to go,
he said with a sigh. Salam nodded and began moving down the trail. With one last look up at the gatehouse, Raedric followed. They made better time going out than coming in, partly because they knew the way already, but mostly because of relief. Raedric was not about to admit it to Salam, but the thought of leaving the oppressive gloom of this place, wherever or whatever it was, lent extra speed to his stride. Before long, they stood before the chasm opening in the side of the cliffs. Beside him, Raedric heard Salam breathe a sigh.
Not a moment too soon. This place makes me nervous.
Smirking at his own cowardice and not admitting similar feeling more than anything else, Raedric replied,
I know what you mean.
Let's get out of... The sound of metal striking stone echoed down the chasm toward their ears, causing Raedric to stop talking mid-thought. He froze, sudden anxiety flooding through him. Then, far down the chasm, a glow appeared. Flickering and bouncing, the glow could only be from a torch that someone was carrying.
Son of a bitch,
he breathed. He and Salam exchanged glances, and Raedric was again impressed by the other man's calm. They exchanged nods, then darted to the cliff face beside the chasm mouth. Just as they had at the columns, Raedric took the right, and Salam the left, blades drawn. There, they waited. Slowly, more noises began to emanate from the chasm. Footsteps, metallic clinking, and voices. It was hard to make out the words at first, but before long, the conversation became more clear.
Good take!
Yeah, Farzel was right again. Didn't even try to put up a fight. A short pause followed, then the conversation continued.
Ain't it supposed to be brightening up in here? Sun came up a while ago.
A loud snort followed, along with mocking laughter. Things don't line up in here, you know that.
Whatever. It's unnatural, I tell you.
A general murmur of agreement followed. Raedric glanced across the mouth of the chasm toward Salam and held up 4 fingers. The other man nodded agreement. There were 4 distinct voices in the conversation. If they got the drop on the brigands, it should be an easy fight. If. Though maybe a minute passed, it felt like an eternity, waiting there. His heart rate increasing rapidly from tension, Raedric took a deep breath, then another. He forced himself, in spite of becoming more and more keyed up, to breathe slowly and deliberately. He had found over the years doing that helped him to focus. It did not do anything for his nerves, though. Just when Raedric thought they were never going to show up, a pair of brigands stepped out of the chasm mouth, walking side by side. They were armed and armored the same as the others Raedric had seen so far, though they looked weary, with bags under their eyes.
I probably look even worse,
Raedric thought with an inward smile. The 2 brigands looked neither left nor right, but continued straight ahead on the trail. Raedric met Salam's eyes and nodded. The 2 men sprang into action as soon as the next pair of brigands stepped from the chasm. Raedric darted in with a backhanded rising cut from his saber at the same time Salam attacked his foe. The brigands both wore nearly identical expressions of shock as they fell, blood spurting from their throats. The first 2 brigands had just begun to turn around when Raedric and Salam spun and advanced on them. Salam's man managed to duck beneath his cut and roll to the side away from him. Raedric's man also had quick reflexes. He turned all the way around and had his sword half drawn when Raedric's cut reached him. Only luck saved his life. Raedric's saber struck his sword on its blade just above the hilt, sending the brigand staggering backwards but leaving him otherwise unharmed. Shrugging off the sounds of fighting to his right, Raedric advanced, feinting low and then cutting high in an attempt to end the fight quickly. Feinting low and then cutting high in an attempt to end the fight quickly. But his foe was skilled and recovered his equilibrium faster than Raedric expected, leaping backward to avoid the true attack as he finished drawing his blade. Then he countered, a straight thrust that should have run Raedric through his midsection. Except that Raedric was not there. He lunged far to the left, lowering his weight fully onto his left foot as the thrust passed harmlessly through the air where his torso used to be. Then he followed up with another backhanded cut. The brigand screamed as Raedric's saber cut through the tendons in the back of his right knee, and he fell to the ground. Desperate fear and agony contorted the brigand's face as Raedric moved forward, and the brigand made an awkward attack to ward him off. But Raedric simply stepped within his swing radius and grabbed his sword arm by the wrist.
Please, no!
The brigand begged. Then Raedric's saber tip entered the hollow where his jaw met his neck. The brigand spasmed once and went limp. Raedric turned around to assist, but found Salam's foe already dead and the fishing man standing there calmly with his arms folded across his chest.
Why do you toy with him?
Salam asked. Taken aback, Raedric was not sure how to respond at first. Bending over to wipe the blood off his saber using the brigand's cloak, he looked askance at Salam.
What do you mean?
You let him counter twice. You are skilled enough he should not have been able to counter at all. So, why do you toy with him? Raedric had no answer.
All right, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, Kingswood, I love that story. How can I buy your books? Great question. Here's the answer. Best way to buy my books is to come over to my site, michaelkingswood.com/store. That will bring you to this place, which is my company's store where you can get books, merchandise, all kinds of great stuff that I've set up. And but you're wondering how it works. Well, here, let's check out Glimmer Chronicles, which is my heroic fantasy series that I've talked a lot about. If you haven't read it yet, you really should. It's a super fun series. Everything you would want. You should start with Glimmer, which is the first book. Come over here to Glimmer. It'll load up. Hey, look at that. You get the book description, links to other books in the series, great stuff. And you can pick the format you want. You got ebook, trade paperback, and audiobook. Not everything I've written is an audiobook yet, but almost everything's a trade paperback and everything's an ebook. But like, hey, I know what you're thinking. Hey, I'm buying from you. How do I get the ebook? There's a service that I work with called Book Funnel. When you buy from my site, they will send you a link. That link will lead you to a page where they will walk you through how to load your ebook onto the device you're choosing, or you can just download it to computer and do whatever you want with it. So that way it's easy peasy. Maximum profit for me. All kinds of fun for you. But I know, a lot of you guys, you like your Kindles, you like your other things, and you want to go straight to the retailer, and that's fine. You can come over here to michaelkingswood.com/books2read, the number 2. And I have this handy dandy universal book-like aggregator page set up. You can scroll through, look at all my stories, all my books, and pick which one you want, and then go from there. Here's how it works. Let's do Glimmer again. So Glimmer, first book in the series, you click on it, you get this thing, you get the book description, you get all other books in the series, and you say, get it now. Okay, get it now. Look what happens. Every retailer where you can find it is here. You can pick the one that you like best and say, okay, cool. Well, let's say I wanted to buy it in, I don't know, let's just say Kobo, because why not? Click on it. And then it'll ask you, is this your favorite store? If so, you set it so every time you come back, you don't have to choose. It'll just go take you to your favorite store. But let's just, you don't have to do that. Well, we're going on to Kobo. Hoo-yah. Hey, look at this. Here it is on the Kobo site. People like it. People have bought it. Good stuff. Links to other things of mine. And, or you can do one of the other stores that you like. Either way, you get the book you like. I get money. It's all good.